We all have access to the same financial tools, do we not? Yes. The only difference between us and the super wealthy is they use the tools differently than we do. Now that I know how to play the game, I'm just playing the game right along with them and building my wealth. I'm not changing my cash flow. I'm not working any harder. I'm not taking any additional risk or losing control. All I'm doing is playing the game the wealthy have been playing for over 200 years. Hey, everybody. Brent Kessler here with the Money Multiplier. Welcome to the Wealth Wednesday webinar. As you guys know, Chris Naugle usually does these every Wednesday, but he is out and about on the road traveling. I believe he spoke last night in San Diego, California at the Secret Knock event. So I think he's still out there. Maybe he's traveling back. I don't know. But anyway, he asked me to kind of step in today. You know, it's kind of like that guy, Will Kane, that steps in for Sean Hannity, right? I'm no Chris Naugle, but I'll try to do the best that I can. So anyway, the thing we're going to do today is we're going to go over the full presentation of the Money Multiplier. Now, I know a lot of you probably are thinking, well, I've already heard that. Do I need to listen to it again? My suggestion would be yes, yes, yes. Listen to it again, because it's kind of like if you read the book, Nelson Nash, Becoming Your Own Banker. Every time you read that book, you pick up something new. You pick up new information. So I would definitely encourage you to grab a pencil, take notes, jot down your questions. I have Hannah that is going to be in the chat box as I go through this. I know a lot of you, maybe this is the very first time that you've seen this, so that's awesome. This should be good information. I'm going to take the full 90 minutes. All right. So I'm going to go until 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. It's 1:03 right now. So I will not stop early. And then at the end, I'll hang around for a few minutes and I'll answer questions live if that's acceptable with Sean and Hannah and all of that. But if you have questions, you can put them in the chat box or just write them down and I'll answer them live. I always say a short pencil is better than a long memory, right? So you want to write the question down. Don't try just to remember what it is and think about it. You want to actually write that question down so we make sure that we cover it. I believe maybe a lot of you know me, but for those that don't, so again, my name is Brent Kessler. Our company is the Money Multiplier, and you know Chris Naugle and his team, and you know being part of the Money Multiplier as well. So you probably heard about this concept anyway if you've been following Chris for any given amount of time. So I'm going to go through with you how to build, keep, and create wealth through your own debts and expenses that you already have, all with just adding one simple step in your financial life. That's all we're going to do is add one step in your financial life. So as I go through this, I want you to keep an open mind, okay? I want you to keep an open mind on the information that I'm going to share with you, because I'm going to challenge a lot of the things that you've been taught about money. So on the very first page, all it is just as it has our logo, the Money Multiplier. It has our contact information and the website. So who am I? I'm Brent Kessler. I'm actually a chiropractor. I no longer practice chiropractic. I had 4 clinics in the Kansas City area. I sold the last clinic in 2017. I haven't been practicing chiropractic since 2008, actually. I had associate docs in those clinics. I sold the last clinic in 2017, which is when I moved down here to Florida. My wife and I became empty nesters, and we got out of the cold of Kansas City and moved to Florida. So still trying to tell Chris Naugle that might be a good idea too, but I don't know, you know, he's still stuck on Buffalo, but I know his wife's family and his family are there. So you usually want to go and be where your family is or whatnot. But anyway, Chris is my good buddy because he still invites me to Buffalo, but it just seems like whenever he invites me in the month of February, right? What kind of friend is that, inviting a guy from Florida to Buffalo in the month of February? So no, I'm just kidding. But anyway, well, I'm not kidding. He does invite me to Buffalo in February. As a chiropractor, the concept that I'm going to share with you today, I first heard about this back in 2006. That's the first time I heard about this. And I was actually at a chiropractic conference and I heard this information and I kind of looked at it and I heard the guy speaking on it. And I was like, man, that looks really, really good, but it just looks too good to be true, right? Have you guys ever seen something like that where it looks good, but it just seems too good to be true, right? Well, that was me. I was sitting in that room and I saw this info and I was like, it looks good, but there's got to be a catch. There's got to be something to this, right? So like after that conference, I actually had left. I went home. I went back to my chiropractic life. I did nothing at all with the information that I heard. I go back to another conference almost 2 years later, and about 10 or 12 of my colleagues that were at the previous conference are now at this conference with me. The only difference between them and me is they actually took action and they implemented the process and the system and the concept that they heard earlier. So I've got 10 or 12 of my colleagues coming up to me, basically throwing up all over me. And they're saying, Brent, isn't this banking concept the most powerful thing ever to build, keep, and create wealth? All without having to change your cash flow, all without having to work any harder, all without having to take any additional risk or change your cash flow. So I thought to myself, there has to be something to this, right? There's no way that 10 or 12 of my colleagues are lying to me. Maybe 1 or 2, but not 10 or 12. So I went home and I told my wife, I said, honey, we got to start implementing this concept in our life. And it was at that time, it was February of 2008. I found myself $984,711 in debt. That's what I owed the third-party creditors. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking, how does a guy from Kansas get to be almost $1 million of debt, right? I know if you live in a place like California, that buys you a very, very small house, but in Kansas, it buys you a lot. Well, how was I in that debt? Well, I had the house that I lived in. I had my student loans from chiropractic college. I also had a condo on the Lake of the Ozarks between St. Louis and Kansas City. And if you have a condo on the lake, guess what you have to have? You have to have a boat and a wave runner, right? Absolutely. So, because there's no way you can live on the lake without a boat and a wave runner. I'm also an airplane pilot. So as an airplane pilot, I had to have my own airplane. Well, it didn't take me a lot to become almost $1 million in debt. Well, I was able to apply this concept that I'm sharing with you, and I was able to pay off that debt in 39 months. 3 years and 3 months, all by simply adding one step in my financial life. I didn't have to change my cash flow. I didn't have to take any additional risk. I didn't have to lose control. I didn't have to work any harder. All I did was added one step in my financial life. And that's what I'm going to share with you today. So as I go through this, I want you to keep an open mind. All right. Keep an open mind because I'm going to challenge the things that you've been taught about money. I may make you a little uncomfortable on some of the stuff that you've learned and you've heard about money. So keep an open mind. Everything that I'm bringing to you is driven by this book called Becoming Your Own Banker. It's a book written by R. Nelson Nash. Okay. R. Nelson Nash wrote this book, Becoming Your Own Banker. Now, it was actually 4 years ago this month, March of 2019. We actually lost Nelson at age 87 years old. So this man, this book completely changed my financial life. I definitely recommend that you add that book to your wealth. Just add that book to your wealth building library. And if you're like me and you don't like to read a lot, it also has a couple hours of audio, right? So like if possibly you're like me and have ADD and you would rather listen to audio like I do, it has the audio version that goes with it. But it is a book that you want to get. Add that book to your wealth building library. If you want, you can reach out to us here at the Money Multiplier to get it. You can go to Amazon online to get it. I'm not here to sell you the book. I just want you to know where the information is coming from. Now, there's another book that Chris Naugle and myself wrote, and we wrote this book a few years ago. It's called Mapping Out the Millionaire Mystery. Mapping Out the Millionaire Mystery. So that is a book that we will give all of you. We'll give you the ebook version of it. You can either send me an email, Brent@themoneymultiplier.com. You can send Hannah an email, Hannah@themoneymultiplier.com. You spell her name the same way forwards as you do backwards, HANNAH, or just go to our website, themoneymultiplier.com, and you can download the ebook from there as well. So definitely another book you should check out. Now, they tell me that sound isn't working, so I'm assuming you can't hear this. I don't know. I can hear it. So maybe you can't. But anyway, the thing we're going to do today is we're going to be talking about money. That's going to be the topic of our conversation. we're going to talk about money. But in order for us to talk about money, we have to have a definition of what money is. So if I ask you to tell me what is the definition of money, you guys would give me all kind of different answers. But what we're going to use today, the definition of money is it's nothing more than a means of exchange, right? That's all we do with money all day long is we exchange it for products and services. In other words, we exchange our money for food, food for money, car for money, money for car, house for money, money for house, right? So all money is a means of exchange. So that's our definition of money. Now, before I end today, I am going to show you how to get all the money back on all the cars you're going to buy, drive, and own for the rest of your life. So here's what that means. You see, I don't even know you guys, okay? But I know how you buy a car. You buy a car one of three ways. You either pay cash, you bank finance, or you lease the car, right? Because I can see you guys out there and all of you look pretty honest. I don't think you stole the car because you look pretty honest. Well, I know there's a few of you that look a little shady, but most of you look pretty honest. So the thing you had to do when you bought that car, you had to give the money to the car dealer. The car dealer gave you the car. So he's got the money, you got the car. Transaction is over. Everybody goes home happy. Yes? Well, all we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, is we're going to add one simple step into what you're doing. So yes, you're still going to give the car dealer the money. They're going to give you the car. So they got the money, you got the car. But now by adding this one step, you're not only going to have the car, you now have a system in place to recapture and recycle all of that money to where now you can not only have the car, but you can get the money back for the car as well. How cool would that be if I show you how to get part or all of the money back for every car you're going to buy, drive, and own for the rest of your life? And guess what? If you can do that for a car, guess what else you can do it for? Any product or service that you buy. You can do it for a big screen TV. You can do it for a piano. You can do it for a chandelier. You can even do it for a house. That's right. You can buy a house, recycle, get all the money back. I'm an airplane pilot. I can do it for an airplane. I can buy an airplane, get the airplane, and get all the money back, right? Taxes. If you pay taxes, I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, pay taxes. How cool would it be to get all your money back for all the taxes you ever pay? So you pay the tax and get the money back. I know it sounds crazy. It sounds ridiculous, but hang on with me. And by the time I get to the end, you will see why 7,000 of our clients that we work with all across the country are doing exactly what I'm telling you. I only have a limited amount of time. I remember I said I'm going to take the full 90 minutes. So I'm going to go until 2:30 Eastern time, right? And reminder, so Hannah is in the chat box answering questions, and I'll stick around and answer questions at the end as well. But I only have a limited amount of time, so I can't show you every single slide. So you're going to have some homework. Here's homework assignment number 1. You see this on your screen right now? I want you to write down the word YouTube. And you can even go to youtube.com, and I want you to punch in the words backward bicycle. Backward bicycle, it's about an 8-minute video, and this is how it starts.
Welcome back to Smarter Every Day. You've heard people say,
when you go and watch that video, you will understand why I'm having you watch the video, because the information that I'm going to go over with you today is a paradigm shift. It's outside of the box thinking. It's not what your parents taught you about money. It's not what your grandparents taught you. It's not what your friends, colleagues, or coworkers are doing, right? This is an outside of the box concept that I'm going to show you. And this is what the wealthy use to build wealth. So stay tuned. Okay, there's a guy named Will Rogers, and here's what Will Rogers says. He says, the problem in America isn't so much what people don't know, it's what people think they know that just ain't so. So a lot of the things you've been taught about money may not actually be the truth. So keep an open mind as I go through this. We're going to talk about how your money flows, and we're going to talk about the method to get all your money back. Just like I said a few minutes ago about the car example, I'm going to show you how to get all the money back for every car, every product, every service you're going to buy in your life. So not only do you get the product, the service, the item, you also get the money back. And we already established what is the definition of money. Money is a means of exchange. We exchange money for products and services. We're going to talk about the mysteries of money. We're going to talk about the machine. Now, in just a couple minutes, I'm going to show you what that machine is that we're going to use to build, keep, and create wealth. And it's going to surprise a lot of you. When I show it to you, you're going to be like, are you kidding me? There's no way. That can't work like that. I know everything there is to know about that, and it possibly can't work. Well, you don't know, because if you did know, you would be using it. So we're going to talk about the mission, the marathon. This is not a sprint. It's not a get rich quick deal. No, no, no. This is a marathon. This is all about you adding one step in your financial life. Remember, I don't want you to change what you're doing. I don't want you to change your cash flow. I don't want you to work any harder, take any additional risk, or lose control. All we're going to do is add one step in your financial life. And when you do that, it's going to drastically improve your financial life. We'll talk about the Millionaire and the movement. I've got 3 calculators on my screen. You guys see all those 3 calculators up there? The one on the right is going to be your checking or savings account wherever you bank with. I'm just going to assume every one of you have a checking or a savings account. Yes, and you put money into that checking or savings account at your local bank, wherever you live. I live in Florida. I live in Port Orange, Florida, right next to Daytona Beach, about an hour east of Orlando. That's where I'm coming to you from today. Chris Naugle lives in Buffalo, New York. Right. I'm going to be speaking live on this concept Friday in Phoenix, Arizona. Chris Naugle is right now speaking in San Diego live on this concept. I'm going to be next week in Dallas, Texas, speaking live on this concept. Right. If you want to see where we're speaking live, go to our website, themoneymultiplier.com, look up the event calendar. All right. So I'm going to make believe you have $25,000 in your bank account, checking or savings account. And you found a really, really good bank, and that bank is paying you 4% interest on your money. Now, look, I know the bank is not paying you 4% interest on your money. I get it. But I'm going to make believe you found a really good bank, and they're paying you 4% interest. And I'm going to be your local banker at your local bank, wherever you do business with. So we'll just call me Banker Brent. Now, what you do is you come into the bank and you say, Brent, I want to take out $25,000 out of my account, and I want to go pay cash for a car. And I say, no, no, no. You do not want to take the $25,000 out of your account that's earning 4% and go pay cash for a car. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make you a loan for $25,000, and I'm going to charge you 6% interest. If we go to a bank to borrow money to buy a car, how long do we normally finance that car for? I'm just going to call it 5 years or 60 months. It really doesn't matter if it's 4 years, 48 months, or 6 years, 72 months. I want you to get the concept here. So here's what I'm saying. I want you to keep your money in the bank, the $25,000 in the bank that's paying you 4% interest. I'm going to make you a loan for $25,000, and I'm going to charge you 6% interest. And over the same equal time period, in this case, 60 months or 5 years, our bank will pay you more money on the 4% that you're earning than you will pay us on the 6% that you're borrowing. Now, is that a true statement? In other words, is it possible for you to make more money earning 4 at the same time you're paying 6? No, you're shaking your head no. That's exactly what I said when I was sitting in the same place that you were when I was listening to this for the first time back in 2006. Because if you earn 4 and pay 6, you're losing 2, right? That's the way my simple mind works. However, the banker told you the truth. So let's walk through it. If you go borrow $25,000 from a bank at 6% interest, and you're going to have that note, that loan for 5 years or 60 months, that means your payment is $483.32 a month. Take the $483.32 times the 60 months. So over the course of that 5 years, you're actually going to pay $29,000 for that car. You're going to pay $25,000 in principal and $4,000 in interest. Are you with me so far? All right. Now, that same money that I told you to leave in the bank, $25,000 earning 4% for the same time period, 5 years or 60 months, you actually have a total of $30,525. Now, here's my question, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Is that number on the right, is the number on the right-hand side of the screen, the $30,525, is that a larger number than $28,999? Or do you guys do math wherever you're at differently than I do math down here in Daytona Beach, Florida. That's right. It's a bigger number. Well, how can that possibly be? How can you have more money earning 4% at the same time you're paying 6%? Here's why. The car payment, the car balance is going down every month. Yes, it's on a decreasing balance. It goes down. However, the money inside of the account earning 4% goes up. So one goes down and the other one goes up. But see, our minds are not programmed to think that way. We think if we earn 4 and pay 6, we're losing 2. We have to start learning how money works. Now, all I wanted to do with this little exercise is I wanted to prove to you that you can make money all day long earning 4% at the same time you're paying 6%. Are we good with that? Now, why is that important? There is a method to my madness here. Why is that important? Well, let's talk about the machine that we're going to use to build, keep, and create wealth. Now, are you ready for it? It's going to surprise a lot of you when I show you this. The machine that we're going to use to build our wealth is a whole life insurance policy in a mutual company that pays dividends. Now, I wish you could see all of your faces right now, kind of like I can see all of you. You're thinking, what in the heck does a whole life insurance policy have anything to do with me building my wealth? Oh, I even see a couple people just dropped off. Because when I mentioned the word life insurance, you guys clicked end slideshow or end podcast or webinar, or whatever the hell this thing is we're doing today, right? You clicked end because I said the word life insurance, because you already think that you know everything there is to know about life insurance, and there's nothing new that I can teach you about it that you don't know. Well, as Nelson Nash talks about in this book, he talks about this thing called an arrival syndrome. So when you get that book, read that chapter on the arrival syndrome, and don't you catch it. You do not want to catch the arrival syndrome. Now, keep in mind, this is not any whole life insurance policy. No, no, no. It's not the policy that you can go and buy from your brother-in-law that sells life insurance. I know we all have a brother-in-law that sells life insurance. This is not that policy. Your brother-in-law does not know how this policy and how this concept works. This type of policy is a specially designed, specifically engineered whole life policy in a mutual company that pays dividends. It's not any type of policy. No, no, it's a specially designed, specifically engineered policy that has high immediate cash value. That's right. I said high immediate cash value. Now, how soon is the word immediate? My definition of immediately is within 30 days. So from here on out, whenever I say immediately, you automatically think 30 days. That is the policy. That is the type of policy we're going to use to build, keep, and create wealth. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Brent, why on earth would I ever want to use a whole life insurance policy to build, keep, and create wealth? And you may give me a whole bunch of different answers. But the reason that we're doing this is because this is what the rich do. This is what the wealthy do. The number one purchasers of whole life insurance in the world are conventional banks. Conventional banks own more in whole life insurance than all of their land and their buildings combined. As a matter of fact, since 2013, conventional banks have quadrupled the amount of life insurance they have purchased. Now, why on earth are banks buying so much whole life insurance and continuing to buy it? Why are they doing that? Is it because they're stupid, or they know something the rest of us don't know? That's right. They know something the rest of us don't know. So all we're going to do is mimic and imitate what the wealthy have been doing for well over 200 years. That's right, 200 years. This is not something that's brand new. It's not on trial. It's not being tested. It's not like, let's try it and see how it works. No, no, no. It's been around for over 200 years. I want you to go research the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, the Morgans, the Stanleys, the Barclays. I want you to see how they build, keep, and create wealth and what they've been doing in their families. So don't take my word for it. Go see how Walt Disney built Disneyland. Go see how Ray Kroc funded McDonald's. Go see how Pampered Chef got started before Warren Buffett bought Pampered Chef. All we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, is we're going to mimic and imitate exactly what the wealthy do. Now, how can you prove, or again, how can I prove, or how can you verify what I'm telling you is correct, that banks are the #1 purchasers of whole life insurance in the world? Go and Google something called BOLI. It's called BOLI. It stands for bank-owned life insurance, and you will see the hundreds of pages that come up on how much life insurance conventional banks actually own. Let's go back to the 4 and the 6%. Remember, I said there's a method to my madness. Why is the 4 and the 6% important? Remember, I said by this exercise, all I wanted to do to you is prove to you that you can make money all day long earning 4 at the same time you're paying 6. Well, inside of your policy, the guaranteed growth rate is greater than 4% with dividends. I always like to underpromise and overdeliver. So I'm just going to assume the growth rate on your policy is 4%. But it's greater when we add in the dividends. Now, even though dividends aren't guaranteed, dividends in all the insurance companies that we work with, the insurance companies have been paying dividends for over 122 consecutive years without fail. 122 consecutive years. Now, that's back around the year 1900. So that means even through all the recessions, the Great Depression, insurance companies still continue to pay a dividend. Now, it's not guaranteed to pay next year or the year after that or 10 years from now, but do you think there's a pretty good idea, or anyway, do you think it's a pretty good chance that the insurance company is still going to pay dividends? Absolutely. Now, that 4% growth rate, let's talk about that for a minute. Do you think that's taxable growth rate, or is that tax-free growth rate? Yeah, tax-free. And tell me what our largest eroder of wealth is. Taxes. All right, let's talk about the 6%. Why is the 6% important? The 6% is important because that is the highest interest rate the insurance company will charge you to take a policy loan. So, can we make money all day long earning 4 at the same time we're paying 6? Absolutely, we can. All right, let's move on. Now, we already talked about the definition of money. We said it's a means of exchange. Who in this call, okay, who believes on this podcast, on this Zoom meeting, on this webinar that we're doing, who believes in compound interest? Most all of you guys say, yes, I believe in compound interest. Well, that's what we've been taught, yes, to believe in compound interest. Well, let's talk about compound interest for a minute. The only way compound interest works is if your product or your money sits still. So in other words, I have a $20 bill in my hand. If I want this $20 bill to compound, I have to take the $20 bill, I have to put it in the bank, and I have to leave it sit there. Do I not? If I go back to get that $20 bill out of the bank, say in a month, a week, a day, it's no longer compounding. So it has to sit still. Well, motion is a natural law of God, is it not? Everything is in motion. I'm talking, my lips are moving, my hands are moving. I ate some lunch earlier, so pretty soon the food is going to be in motion through my body. I know Hannah came over today. She had to get in her car and drive, so her car was in motion. How many of you would like to eat fish out of a stagnant pond? No, none of you. Let me ask you this. How many of you went to the grocery store this past week and you went to the fresh produce aisle and you purchased fresh produce that you do not intend on eating? None of you. Because why on earth would you ever buy fresh produce if you don't intend on eating it? Because if you don't eat it, it's going to rot and spoil, right? So motion is a natural law of God. Everything is in motion. Compounding stops the motion. So, but we've all been told compound interest is a great thing. Well, if that's the case, I want you to name me one business in the world that uses compound interest. Just name me one business, any business you want. What business do you think uses compound interest? Now, I get a lot of answers, but the common answer I always get are banks. Banks use compound interest. Well, let's talk about that. Do banks use compound interest? No. They pay you compound interest and they charge you compound interest, but they don't use compound interest themselves. In other words, if I took this $20 bill, I highlighted it in yellow and I put my initials on it, and I took it down to the local bank, does the bank employee take my $20 bill back to the back room? And there's a little box back there that says Brent Kessler, and that's where they put the $20 bill until I come back and get it? No, man, they don't do that. As a matter of fact, if I go back and I want that same $20 bill back in a week, are they going to give it to me? Nope. What about in a day? No. An hour? 10 minutes? No. They're not going to give me the same $20 bill back. Why are they not going to give me the same $20 bill back? Because they're moving it. They're constantly keeping that money in motion. Banks just don't actually use compound interest. They pay you compound interest. They charge you compound interest, but they don't use it themselves. How much money does a grocery store make if groceries are compounding on the shelf if nobody's buying them? Zero. How much money does a car dealer make if cars are sitting on the lot and nobody's buying them or driving them? Zero. How much money does a hotel make if people aren't checking in and out? How much money does an airline make if nobody's flying? How much do you make in the real estate business if all your real estate deals aren't moving? Zero. Not one business in the world actually uses compound interest. Isn't it a little bit strange that all the major institutions, banks, Wall Street, mutual funds, insurance companies, they all tell us to park our money with them and leave it sit still, but they don't do it themselves? Isn't that a little strange? If it was so good to let your money compound and sit, why aren't they doing it themselves? I'm just trying to give you an idea of what's going on and make you think about what's going on. And a lot of you guys are doing this in your own life because, anyway, just by a show of hands, how many of you out there have a 401k, an IRA, a retirement plan, a qualified plan? Probably a lot of you, right? And the reason you have those plans is that you're hoping to put money in there now and get back money later that's more money, yes? And that's what your friends, your colleagues, your parents, your grandparents, your relatives taught you to do. That's what they do. So you figure, well, it's good for them. I should be doing it myself. Let me just give you a word of caution about life. I want you to watch what the masses of people are doing and you go and do the opposite. I tell my kids this all the time. Watch what everybody else is doing and you better check out what else is going on or the opposite of what they're doing. I'm just saying you guys can check it out yourself. But again, you have a 401k, IRA, or qualified plan. And the reason you're putting the money in there is because that's what you were told to do or you want to have money to use later. Well, let me ask you a couple questions about that 401k, IRA, qualified plan. Are there any guarantees that that money is going to be there when you go and get it? No. Well, yeah. Actually, there is one guarantee. It's guaranteed to never go below zero. But how exciting would that be if that actually happened? Wouldn't that suck? Who's controlling that money, you or somebody else? That's right. Somebody else is controlling it. Yes. Now, how long do you have to wait to get the money without being penalized? Age 59 and a half. That's right. So the money that you're putting in there, you have to leave that money in there until you're 59 and a half. And if you don't, they charge you a penalty. Now, even when you go get the money out, you still have to pay tax on that money. Do you not? Absolutely, you have to pay tax on that money. All right. So there's somebody else controlling it. There's no guarantees, and it's tied up, and you can't use it. How exciting is that, right? So I'm just trying to get you to think about what's going on. Now, I want you to answer this. How many people have you ever met in your financial life at retirement age? I want you to think of everybody you know at retirement age, and it might even be you. How many people have you ever met in your retirement age, that are totally ecstatic, excited, elated about how their retirement plan has performed for them? Probably not a lot of you, if any of you. So you know why I know this? Because all of you know people that are at retirement age that are working jobs at retirement age, not because they want to be, but because they have to be, because their 401k, their IRA, their pension, their retirement plan did not turn out the way that they thought it was going to. I'm just trying to get you to think about what's going on. A couple questions for you. Is a dollar worth more today or in the future? It's worth more today. If you ever forget that, I want you to think about how many candy bars you could buy 25 years ago for $1, how many you can buy it today for $1. Are taxes going to go up or go down? That's right, they're going to go up. Even if taxes don't go up, aren't we taxed on more stuff all the time? Yes. Question number 3, Would you rather pay tax on the small amount of the seed or the large amount of the harvest? Yes, the small amount of the seed. I agree with all three of those answers, but you are violating all three of those answers by putting your money in a 401k, an IRA, or a qualified plan, because what you're doing is you're giving up good dollars today to get paid back with non-guaranteed weaker dollars in the future. You're compounding the tax because the tax is always going to be there when you go get the money. And when you do pay the tax, you're going to pay it on the large amount and not the small amount. I'm just trying to get you to think about what's going on. One more example, and I will leave this and go to my next topic. You told me earlier money is a means of exchange. So that means money is food, food is money, car is money, money is car, house is money, money is house. Let's say we all get off of this webinar today and we all go to the grocery store and we're going to buy a loaf of bread. So are you going to buy that bread? And are you going to bring that bread home? And are you going to wait 5, 10, 15, 20 years to eat the bread? Absolutely not. That would be crazy, wouldn't it? What if we leave here today and go buy a car or a house? Are you going to wait 5, 10, 15, 20 years to drive that car or move in the house? No way. You would never do that. Well, why then? Why are you doing that with your money? You see, all those things equal money. You would never, ever do that, right? Just like with the things that money can buy. See, people do things with money that they would never do with things that they can buy with money. You would never buy a loaf of bread, bring it home, put it in the freezer for 20 years, would you? And open it up and eat it. But you'll put your money in a 401k, IRA, qualified plan, retirement account. I'm just trying to get you to think of what's going on. Oh, but wait, but you say, Brent, but I got one of those really, really super duper, I'm a special snowflake retirement plans. Yes. And you say you get a match. Well, how can the match be guaranteed if the principal isn't guaranteed? But let's just go with your theory. And you have one of those super duper plans that you get a match. Oh, by the way, how's your retirement plan been working for you for the last 12, 15, 18, 24 months? How have those numbers been looking on your portfolio whenever you get that quarterly statement in? Probably not too good, have they? All right, but let's just go with your theory and you get a match. So that would mean that bread is food, that bread is money, money is bread. So what that would mean is we would go to the store, buy a loaf of bread. We bring that loaf of bread home. We put it in the freezer. We go back to the freezer 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road. We open up the freezer and guess what's in there? 2 loaves of bread. That's right. How good is that second loaf of bread going to taste? It's still going to be freezer burned, is it not? Yes. I'm just trying to get you to think about what's going on. All right, let's move on and talk about how banks actually work. This is how your bank works. I'm going to say you have $100,000 of your money. The amount is not important. What's important is that it is your money. Now, the thing you do is anytime you get money in, you take it down and you put it into the conventional bank of wherever you live. The Bank of Florida, the Bank of Texas, Bank of California. You can put it in Wells Fargo, Bank of America, US Bank, wherever you bank at. Remember, I said you found a really, really good bank and that bank's going to pay you 4% interest on your money. So every time you put money into the bank, that money becomes a liability to the bank because they owe you interest. That's right. How does the bank take your money and turn it into an asset? By loaning it out. That's what banks do. They're in the lending business. They loan money. So a loan is an asset to a bank, is it not? Yes, but whenever we think of a loan, guess what we think of it as? We think of it as a debt, a payment, an expense, a liability. We have to start thinking the way a bank thinks, as a loan, as an asset. I don't even know you, but this is what you do. You put your money into the bank, and I say you found a really good bank, they're going to pay you 4%, and then guess what you do? You go back to the bank that you just put the money in, and you say, Mr. Banker, I want to buy a house, so I want to borrow some of that money that I put in there. So now you go back and borrow some of the depositor's money to buy a house. And let's just call that 7% interest the bank is going to charge you for the house loan. Don't get hung up on the numbers. I just want you to get the concept. If you borrow money from a bank at 7% to buy a house, are you expected to pay the bank back with interest? Absolutely you are. So who's in control of that transaction? The bank. Now, guess what you do? You go back to the bank and say, Mr. Banker, I need to borrow some money to buy a car. So now you go buy a car. The bank's going to charge you 8%. If you borrow money from a bank to buy a car, are you expected to pay the bank back with interest? Absolutely, you have to do that. And you know you have to do that. And you do it and you never skip a beat, because if you skip a beat, they will come and pick up the crap that you bought on credit. They will repossess it. Now, let's say you want to do a home remodel. You want to do new granite countertops, a basement, a swimming pool, whatever it is, a patio. So you go now get maybe a home equity line of credit. You get a loan from a bank, let's just call it 9%. If you borrow money from a bank, are you expected to pay the bank back with interest? Absolutely, you're expected to pay them back with interest. So who's in control of that transaction? The bank. So I hope you're seeing the bank is in control of all of this, because all banks do is they bring money in and they send it out. Bring it in, send it out. Bring it in, send it out. That's why that $20 bill that I have highlighted with my initials on it is no longer there, because they're constantly moving the money. Finally, let's do a debt consolidation loan, pay off all the credit cards. We'll call that 12%. If you borrow money from a bank to pay off the credit cards, that money goes back in the banking system. Who's in control of all of these transactions? That's right, the bank. Let's see how well you did and how well the bank did. Now, remember, I said that you're doing good because you found a good bank that's paying you 4% interest on your money. Do you have any bank right now paying you 4% interest on your money? No. Not even as interest rates go up, you're not close to 4%. But remember, you found the good one that's paying you 4%. Well, let's look and see how well you did and how well the bank did. So if you're making 4% and the bank took that money and loaned it to you or somebody that wants to buy a house at 7%, they made 7% and you made 4%. So how much more did they make than you? That's right, 3%. All right, what about the car loan? They made 8%, you made 4%. How much more did they make? 4%. How about the house remodel? They made 9%, you made 4%. How much more? 5%. Okay, they get a little harder. Here's the last one. The bank made 12% on the debt consolidation loan. You made 4%. How much more do they make? 8%. So look at this, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. The bank made 20% and you made 4%. How much more money did the bank make than you? Well, you guys say, Brett, that's easy. 20 minus 4 is 16, right? Close. What about 500% more? Because look, if you made $4 and they made $20, didn't they make 5 times the amount of money you made? Banks are making between 400 and 1,300% on the money that you leave there each and every year. Now, I know you're thinking, Brent, I hear you flapping your gums and moving your lips. How do I really know that's true? How do I know banks make that much money on me? Don't take my word for it. Go out and I want you to get a report. It's called BauerFinancial.com, B-A-U-E-R financial.com. You can plug in any bank you want, a small bank, a big bank, anything you want. You can get the annual report for that bank from this year, last year, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and you will see that banks make no less than 400% on your money. As a matter of fact, if you find a bank that makes less than 400% annual on your money, I want you to share it with me and I'll change my presentation and I'll give you credit. I've been teaching this concept since 2012, since March of 2012. So I'm 11 years old now in teaching this concept. I've used this slide on every presentation that I've done. And I've asked you, the audience, to give me a bank that makes less than 400% annually on the money. And nobody has ever been able to show me that, but maybe you'll be the first one. How much risk did the bank take to do all of this? How much risk did they take to make all of these transactions? They really didn't take hardly any risk, did they? Because whose money did they use? They used your money, so they really did not take any risk. Now, I will agree that interest rate offsets risk. So the higher risk you are as a borrower, the higher interest rate you're going to have to pay. But if you're too high of a risk, is the bank going to loan you money anyway? No. So all I want you to do here, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, is I want you to be the banker in your own life. You control all the banking transactions in your life because you're doing this anyway right now. Right now, as we speak, you're buying cars, you're buying houses, you're doing home remodels, you're using credit cards. Who is getting all of that money? Do you ever wonder where in the hell all your money goes to? Where is it going? That money is leaving your family. You need to start keeping the money inside of your family and keeping control. There you go, BauerFinancial.com. Go out and do the research, click on any bank you want. You won't find a bank that makes less than 400% annually. I hope you prove me wrong, and I hope you show me you can find one. All right, I'm going to skip this part right here called the annual pattern of spending, but don't fear any part that I skip. At the end of this, I'm going to show you how to go back and watch anything that I skipped, okay? So now we're going to get into the fun stuff. I'm going to show you now how to get all the money back for all the cars you're going to buy, drive, and own for the rest of your life. So here's what that means. Not only do you buy the car, you get the car. So what you do, you give the car dealer the money, he gives you the car. Everybody walks away happy. He's got the money, you got the car. But now by adding one step in your financial life, you now have the car and the money as well. All right. Now remember what the machine is that we're going to use to build our wealth. That machine is a whole life policy in a mutual company that pays dividends. That's just the machine that we're using. If there's a better machine out there that has these features and benefits, then tell me what it is, and maybe I'll stop teaching this and start teaching what you tell me about. But I've been looking now since I first heard about this, which is 2006. So that's going on 17 years. I've been looking for a better vehicle that will allow me to do this, that has these features and benefits, and nobody has been able to show it to me yet. Maybe you'll be the first. Well, whenever we put money into a policy, we pay premium into that policy, don't we? And I know what you're thinking. When you put premium into a policy, that is a payment. You're right, it is a payment. However, remember what I told you earlier? When you put money into this policy, you have high immediate cash value available. And what's the definition of immediately? Within 30 days. So if you're putting money into an account and you have immediate access to that money, just to the cash value, then is that treated more like a payment or a deposit? Yeah, a deposit. And what word do you like better, payment or deposit? Yes, that's what I thought, deposit. And have you ever made too many deposits in your bank account? Never. All right. So in your mind, I want you to do a paradigm shift here. And in your mind, I want you to think about when you put premium into a policy, think about it as a deposit and not a payment. Yes, it is a payment, but in your mind, you can picture it as a deposit. Okay. Now, in this example that you see, this person is putting in $10,000 a year into this policy, and he's going to pay it for 7 years. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Brent, that's crazy. I would never put $10,000 into a policy and pay it for that long. Well, let me just tell you this. Before we end today, you're going to want to put more money than $10,000 a year in, and you're going to want to pay it way longer. Just stay tuned. You'll see it. But let's just say you don't. Well, then that's okay. You can put the amount of premium you want to put into the policy. There's lots of clients that I'm sure we have on this call today. Have I ever told any of you how much money to put into your policy for premium? No, you tell me the amount you want to put in. And also, you can pay it in whatever mode that you want. You can pay the premium monthly, quarterly, twice a year, or annually. It's up to you how you pay the premium. And when you put the premium in, if let's say you wanted to reduce it down the road, you can always reduce that premium at least by 60% or even greater, all right, depending on where your policy is at. So the amount you put in, the mode of how you put it in is totally up to you. You could put in $150 a month if you want. You could put in $540,000 a year if you want. Whatever you want to do, you decide the amount of premium you put in your policy. Now, it is a life insurance policy, so there's age and there's death benefit that comes into play. But that's not why we're meeting today. So I don't want you to worry about age or death benefit because it doesn't matter. We're here meeting for one reason and one reason only. I'm going to blow this up. You see this column called cash value available? That's why we're meeting, is to talk about the cash. We don't care about your age and we don't care about the death benefit because the death benefit is going to be whatever it is based on your age and the health and the premium you're putting in, right? So for example, if you have 3 people, age 20, 40, and 60, and they're all in equal health, and they put in $10,000 a year into a life insurance policy and they buy the policy at the same time, who's going to have the most death benefit? Yeah, the younger person. Who's going to have the least death benefit? The older person. That just makes sense. But cash doesn't matter. So let me give you an example. Let's say we each have a $20 bill. Doesn't matter who you are. You can be age 20, 40, 60. You walk into the same grocery store at the same time with $20 to buy groceries. Who's going to be able to buy the most amount of groceries with that $20? It doesn't matter. All the same. It doesn't matter about your age, doesn't matter your health, doesn't matter the color of your skin, the language you speak, how good you look, how well you're dressed. The same $20 buys the same amount of groceries for all of those people. So does age and health make any difference when we're talking about the cash in the life insurance policy? No. And the reason I'm driving this home is because you guys are either in the chat box or at the end, you're going to ask a question and you're going to say, Brent, I wish I would have done this when I was younger. Brent, I can't do this because I'm not healthy. No, because if you're not healthy, you just insure another individual that is, such as a spouse, a child, a grandchild, a niece, a nephew, somebody you have a vested business interest in, right? So no excuse. On the left-hand side of the column, all it has is time, has years, 1 to 8, 9 to 13. Then you have that age and death benefit column that are grayed out, which I just told you not to worry about, and I told you why not to worry about them. Then you have the policy premium deposit of $10,000. This particular individual is putting $10,000 into his policy, and he's going to pay it for 7 years. At the end of the 3rd year, he's going to go buy a car. At the end of the 3rd year, beginning of the 4th year, he's going to take a loan from his policy and buy a $25,000 car. Let me make this clear. In real life, I would never have you wait to the end of the 3rd year, beginning of the 4th year to use the cash in your policy. I want you to start using the cash immediately. And my definition of immediately is within 30 days, okay? But just know, if you use the money earlier and you play honest banker with yourself, the numbers are going to be way bigger than what I'm about to show you. So he's going to borrow $25,000 to buy the car, and he's going to pay himself back with interest. Remember earlier, you told me that if you borrow money from a bank, you should pay the bank back with interest. Well, do you think it's a good idea if you borrow money from yourself, you should pay yourself back with interest? Absolutely, it's a good idea. But do you ever do it? No, no, no. You never do it. I don't even know you, and I know you never pay yourself back with interest. You have to do that from now on. You have to treat your money the same way you treat a bank's money, because if you don't, you're saying your money is not as valuable as the bank's money. So what he's going to do is he's going to borrow $25,000 and he's going to pay himself back with interest, $500 a month or $6,000 a year for a total of 5 years, a total of $30,000. So let's see what we did here in the first 8 years. Now, before I do that, I want you to think of something. I want you to think of all the cars you've ever bought, driven, and owned in your life. How much of the money have you ever gotten back for all of those cars you've ever bought, driven, and owned? The answer is 0. So if I do nothing else but show you how to get part or all of the money back, has it been a pretty good day? I would think so, because you are going to just, unless you're about to die, pass, or graduate really, really soon, you're going to continue to go through and buy cars for you and your family, just like you've been doing, because the car that you're driving today is not the first car you've ever started driving unless you're 16 or 17. And it's not the last car you're going to drive unless you're about ready to pass, because you're going to go through life just like you've been doing, and you're going to buy, drive, and own cars. So why not get some of the money back or all of the money back? Let's look and see what we did here in 8 years. In the first 8 years, we put in 10 times 7 is 70, 6 times 5 is 30, for a total of $100,000. Well, we took out $25,000 to buy the car, did we not? So if I put in 100, took out 25, if I put in 100 and took out 25, how much more did I put in than I took out? That's right, $75,000. $75,000 is my true net injection. Are you with me? How much cash do I have in my policy in the 8th year? 73,226. So if you take 73,226 divided into 75,000, that means you just got back 97 cents or 97% of every dollar for that very first car that you bought, driven, and owned. How would you like to have 97 cents back of every dollar for every car you're going to buy, drive, and own? Be pretty cool, wouldn't it? Is there anything stupid, ridiculous, or idiotic that I'm doing here? No, man. I just bought a stupid life insurance policy and I'm using it to buy the car. You're going to buy the car anyway. All I did is I added one step in my financial life. That's it. Let's go to year 9 to 13. I only want you to focus on year 9 to 13. We go buy another car in year 9. Why do we buy another car? Well, because that one wore out or you're tired of driving it. Or maybe you're married and your spouse has been tired of walking for 5 years and now they're ready for a car. I don't know, but you buy another car. You buy another $25,000 car, just like we did before. Where does the money come from? It comes from the $73,226. So now I'm no longer going to put premium in the policy. In real life, I would want to do it, but I just want to isolate the car purchase so you see the power and what's going on. So now in year 9 to 13, what do? I take out $25,000 to buy the car. I pay myself back $500 a month, $6,000 a year for 5 years for a total of $30,000, just like I did on the first car. So what did I do? I took out 25, put back 30, took out 25, put back 30. How much more did I put back than I took out? Well, 30 minus 25 is $5,000. So our true net injection between year 9 and 13 is $5,000. How much cash do we have in the policy? It's okay to say it. That's right, 95,000. So it grew from 73 to 95. That is a $22,000 growth with a $5,000 net injection. How do you like buying cars my way? Is there anything stupid, ridiculous, or idiotic that I'm doing here? No, man. All I did is I bought a stupid ass life insurance policy and I'm using it to buy my cars. You're going to buy the car anyway, are you not? Now, I know what you guys are thinking right now. You're thinking, Brent, why did you just use the word ass? That was not very nice. Well, the reason I used it is because I can see all of you. 3 of you are texting, 2 of you are sleeping. There's someone that's trying to watch this while walking the dog. The other person is washing the dishes, and then there's someone out there burping a baby. So now the word ass, it just brought you right back to the screen. So now you're paying attention again, and thank you for that. I don't know what it is. It's something about the word ass that brings you right back to the screen. So now you're with me again. So thanks for that. All right, now watch this. Watch and see what we've done in the first 13 years. Now, how fast has 13 years gone in your life? Now, I will tell you, I'm age 55. It just seems like just yesterday I was 42. It goes by quick, does it not? Well, watch what we did in 13 years. Well, in year 1 to 8, what did we do? We put in 10 times 7 is 70. We paid back 6 times 5 is 30. So we put in $100,000 in the first 8 years. And then in year 9 to 13, we put in 6 times 5 is 30 for a total of 130. So we put in 130, but we took out money to buy the 2 cars. We put in 130, took out 50. Put in 130, took out 50. How much more did we put in than we took out? That's right. $80,000 is our true net injection. Because if you take 130 minus the 50, 80,000 is your true net injection. Well, how much cash do we have sitting in our policy? It's okay. You can say it. 95,000. If we put in 130, took out 50 to buy the cars, our net injection is 80. And here we are in the 13th year with $95,000 in our account. Not only do we have $95,000 in our account, guess what else we have? We have 2 cars on the driveway, a 5-year-old car and a 10-year-old car that you've owned, driven, and used. You can still continue to drive them and use them. You can sell them, donate them, give them away, whatever you want to do. If that's true, if we put in 130, took out 50, our net injection is 80, and now we have 95 in our account plus the 2 cars, how much did the cars cost you to buy, drive, and own? The way my simple mind works is we made money. They didn't cost you anything. Now, I can't sit here and tell you they cost you nothing because you had to start this program. You had to start this concept. So let's go back to the first year. When you put in 10,000, was all that 10,000 available for you to use? No, but that's okay. Are you in this for the short term or the long term? The long term is what you tell me, but we tend to get hung up in short-term thinking. Have you ever read a book called The Purpose-Driven Life by Rick Warren? Rick Warren says life is like a marathon. It doesn't matter where you start. It only matters how you finish. This is the game of life. I just showed you how to get all the money back for all the cars you're going to buy, drive, and own for the rest of your life. So not only do you get the car, but you also get the money back. Now, is there anything I'm doing different? Am I changing my cash flow? Am I taking any additional risk or losing control? No, I've just added one step in my financial life. All we're doing is we're turning liabilities into assets. We're turning depreciating assets into appreciating assets. Have you ever heard of a guy named Robert Kiyosaki? Robert Kiyosaki wrote a book called, he's kind of known for a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, but he wrote a book called Second Chance. In that book, this is exactly what Robert Kiyosaki talks about, but you never saw it when you read it, did you? Have you ever heard of a book by Tony Robbins called Money Master the Game? Chapter 5.4 in that book, this is exactly what Tony Robbins talks about. So this concept is not on trial. It's not being tested. It's been around over 200 years. This is what the wealthy do. This is what the rich do. All we're going to do is mimic and imitate what they've been doing for over 200 years. If this works for a $25,000 car, what else does it work for? What about a $50,000 car? Yeah. So let's say you had a $50,000 car, and instead of you paying yourself $6,000 a year back, you're paying yourself $12,000 a year. What happens to the numbers? They only go up. So how about if mama has a $50,000 car and daddy has a $50,000 car? What happens? The numbers go up. Okay. This is a $25,000 car. Could you do this for a $2,500 big screen TV? Absolutely. Just take off a zero. Could you do it for a $250,000 house? Absolutely. Just add a zero. It doesn't matter what it is, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Every product and service that you're buying, you're now able to not only have that product or service, but you're able to recapture and recycle that money and keep it in the family exactly the way that I'm showing you here right now. And if you don't believe it works, Google the Money Multiplier, Google chrisnaugle.com. Go look at all of the stuff we have out there. Look at our case studies, our plan designs, our success stories, our testimonials, and talk to the other 7,000 plus clients and see if they are doing this in their life or if we told them a lie. Let me tell you this, 91% of our clients that have been with us a year or longer come back and start additional policies. They buy more life insurance policies. The reason they come back is because it works. There's no way that people are coming back. 9 out of 10 people come back to buy more if this did not work. I want you to think about that. There are 3 rules. Rule number 1, pay yourself first. Pay yourself first. Now, you've all heard pay yourself first, but you never do it. You never, ever pay yourself first, do you? Never. See, you've heard the term, but it goes in one ear and out the other ear, okay? I don't even know you, and here's what you do with your money. Every time you get paid, whether it's active income, passive income, investment income, you take that money, you put it into the bank, and guess what you do with it? You pay the car people, the house people, the student loan. You pay your taxes, your groceries, your food, travel, entertainment. You pay for Bobby's soccer practice, Susie's piano lessons, and you hope there's money left over for you. You got to start paying yourself first. Rule number 2, look up there under car loan repayment. Pay yourself with interest. Treat your money the same way you treat a bank's money. If you don't pay yourself back with interest, you are not treating your money the same as the bank's money. You've got to start doing that. If you don't do it, you're saying your money's not as valuable. Rule number 3, recapture and recycle all of the money that you're sending out to other people. You're turning every liability into an asset, every depreciating asset into an appreciating asset by keeping and taking control of your own money. Reminder, 3 rules: pay yourself first, pay yourself with interest, recapture and recycle your money. If this works for a car, what else does it work for? Anything anything you can think of. Now, there's two more books that I just gave you. I gave you a book called Second Chance by Robert Kiyosaki and another book by Tony Robbins called Money, Master the Game. Those are two other books that you want to add into your wealth building library.
You ever feel like you don't have control of your real estate business or your money? That's right. The big banks and the institutions, they're in control, right? I know you've felt that before. Private Money Club puts you back in the driver's seat. As members often tell us, it's a total game changer. Join the community of like-minded lenders and borrowers by going to privatemoneyclub.com and sign up.
This next item, I'm not going to go over in detail. I'm going to explain to you how you can watch this full presentation, everything that I've shared with you, including this thing called the Money Multiplier Map, okay? I'm going to show you, I can watch line by line of that because it takes about a half an hour to watch it. And I'm not going to take the time to go through that on this because I promised to be done at the bottom of the hour. But let me explain about the Money Multiplier Map and what that is. Remember earlier today when we hopped on the call, I told you that I was able to pay off $984,711 of third-party debt in 39 months, 3 years and 3 months, all without working harder, changing my cash flow, taking any additional risk or losing control. When you go through this map, you are going to see exactly how I did that. So Hannah, can you put in the chat box how they can watch the full presentation that includes this Money Multiplier Map? In this example, I show you how a client paid off $470,000 of debt that was going to take him 18 years to pay it. See, look, 18 years. Go to the right column. See where it says house? 219 months. Actually, just for shit and giggles, how many years is 219 months divided by 12 months in a year? Well, I didn't do that right, did I? 219 divided by 12, is that right? Yeah. Oh, 18 years, isn't it? So it would have taken him 18 years. But instead, because he started this stupid life insurance policy and he paid his debt by using the policy, he was now able to pay that $470,000 of debt off. It didn't take him 18 years. It didn't take him 15 years or 10 years. He did it in 61 months. That's right, just a shade over 5 years. Now, even what's better is he paid that $470,000 of debt all by injecting over a period of 61 months, $160,000 of outside money. So that's right. He paid off $470,000 of debt. He kept his cash flow the same, and he only had to inject $160,000 of outside money to pay it off. And how did he inject that money? He put in $25,000 a year for the first 5 years. And then at the end of the 5th year, beginning of the 6th year, he put in another $35,000. So 25 times 5 is 125 plus the 35 equals 160. So I want you to watch this, and I want you to watch how he paid off that debt. And he just did it by adding the one step. So no matter where you're at, whatever debts that you have, even if you don't have debt, you still owe money. Do you not? Yeah, because it is impossible to owe no man nothing. The only way you could ever owe no man nothing is if you own nothing, so you owe nothing. So you would have to become indigent and homeless. And I don't think you guys are indigent and homeless unless you're stealing someone's Wi-Fi right now and watching this presentation, right? I want you to think about the expenses you have. I want you to think about the taxes that you have. I want you to think about charitable giving that you give. I mean, anything, so even a family vacation, even if you're getting married or your children are getting married. I was just walking my dog this morning with a lady named Sue. So anyway, her daughter is going to pick out a dress today. Guess what the budget is for the wedding dress? I thought I was going to have a heart attack. The budget for the wedding dress is $100,000. Now, who on earth is going to pay $100,000 for the wedding dress? That's not my daughter.
Give me a $5,000 budget.
Not my daughter. I'm telling her to head down to the courthouse and sign some papers and let's go to the party, man. $100,000 for a wedding dress. But with that in mind, if you really wanted to buy a $100,000 wedding dress, you can recycle and recapture the money just like you can on a $25,000 car, right? So this thing called the money multiplier map. We designed this map for all of our clients, okay? Because you're probably thinking now, Brent, this is pretty cool. How do I do this? Well, this map is designed for you. So when you start a policy with us, we design this map for you. And there's probably people in the chat box that can tell you that, yes, they get a map designed once a year, once a quarter, a couple times a year. We recommend that you do it at least twice a year, every 6 months. Some people do it every 3 months. Some people do it every 4 months or 6 months. You never, ever, ever pay for those services. No, we include that. As a matter of fact, you're probably thinking, Brent, how do we pay you? How do you make money? Well, you're never going to write me a check for a dime. You're never going to write Chris Naugle a check for a dime, Stephen Nagy, Devin Burr, Hannah, the money multiplier. Never, ever at all do you pay us a dime. The way that we get paid is the same way your car insurance gal or guy gets paid. So for example, if you go to John Smith, the Allstate man, to buy car insurance, the check that you write is not to John Smith. No, you write the check to Allstate and Allstate pays John Smith a commission. So we get paid a commission on the policy. There are no hidden fees, extra costs, extra charges for any of our services. So this is why you want to work with us and not your brother-in-law that sells life insurance. Because here's what's going to happen. After you leave this webinar, you're going to go back to your brother-in-law that sells life insurance and you're going to say, hey, brother-in-law, I just heard this podcast webinar and they talked about this becoming your own banker in this book here by Nelson Nash. And your brother-in-law is going to say, I can do that for you. I know how to design one of those policies. Well, let me ask you this question. If they really understood how to design the policy and they knew about it, why haven't they told you already? Okay, so let's say they told you. Now ask them these questions. Question number one, can you show me how you can borrow at a higher rate than what you're earning and making money all day long? No, they're not going to be able to show you. Now, don't you go tell them now that you know, right? That wouldn't be fair. Number two, are they going to be able to show you how you're able to recycle, recapture all the money back for every car that you're going to buy, drive, or own, every product or service that you're going to buy, drive, or own? Nope, they're not going to be able to show you. Number three, are they going to be able to design the money multiplier map for you and your policy tools, the maps that we design for you 2 to 3 times a year, every 4 to 6 months? They aren't going to know how to do it. But let's just say you found the special snowflake brother-in-law that sells life insurance that knows how to do all of that and can do all of that. They are not going to want you to have this type of policy. Do you know why? Because in order for you to have this type of policy, they have to take a 60 to a 90% cut in their commission, and they're not willing to do it. They are not willing to take that hit in their commission in order to design your policy this way. That's why you want to work with us, because this is all we do. We eat, live, and breathe this stuff. Now, you're probably thinking, why haven't I heard about this? Or maybe you have heard about it, but you really don't know much about how this works. So I want you to go to Google or YouTube or however. I mean, I found this article on ESPN.com. It was actually on that day, November 16th, 2016. I was in Denver, Colorado, about to give a live presentation. I got there early, so I had a little extra time. So I went to ESPN.com, and this article comes up. Cash value life insurance makes Jim Harbaugh college football's top paid coach. Why did they buy a policy on him? Because they're able to recycle and recapture all of the money back and pay his salary through the life insurance policy. So it's a win-win situation for both the university and also the coach. And if you know anything about college football, back in 2016 and for a few years after that, it's a good thing they got the money back on this guy because he was not winning the games he was supposed to be winning. He's done better in the last couple of years, but not back then. Walt Disney, after failing in traditional means of financing to get a loan. Here's what that means. Walt Disney went to the bank to get a loan to start this thing called Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck in Disneyland. And the bank said, nope, we're not going to lend you money for that crazy idea. He had to provide his own financing by collaterally borrowing the cash value from his life insurance policy. So who knows if Walt Disney World would even exist if it wasn't for cash value life insurance. Same thing with Ray Kroc and McDonald's. He had to borrow money from his 2 cash value life insurance policies to cover salaries of his key employees. And he also used some of that money to fund an advertising campaign called Ronald McDonald. Actually, where is Ronald McDonald? Have you guys seen him lately? Me neither. Doris Christopher. Doris Christopher had to borrow $3,000 from her life insurance policy to start this business back in 1980 in her suburban Chicago home, which she later sold to Warren Buffett for $1.5 billion. That's right, billion with a B dollars. Who knows if Pampered Chef would have ever started if it wasn't for cash value life insurance. There you go. Your president, Joe Biden. Now, this article is now 9 years old almost, June of 2014. Joe Biden says he has no stocks, bonds, or savings account. He currently, at that time, he owed 6 life insurance policies in a mutual company that pays dividends. Who knows how many life insurance policies he owns now? Probably way more. I can tell you I own 24. Hannah owns, Hannah, how many do you own? You own 4. I thought it was 5. You own 4. Chris Naugle owns a dozen. Ask Devin Burr, Stephen Nagy how many he owns. Ask Shauna how many she owns. I don't know who's all on this call, but ask people, or so maybe people can just start putting in the chat box. How many of these policies do you own? Is it only 1? If it's 1, congratulations, but that's kind of sad. You better start thinking about other ones. But if it's 0, you better start your first one. So who knows how many Joe Biden owns right now? Because back in 2014, 9 years ago, he owned 6. So I would imagine he owns more now. What about Stanford University? Same thing. JCPenney, same thing, had to borrow money. Foster Farms. There's plenty more that's out there. You can go and Google and look at all of this stuff, all right? Now that you know this information, everybody should be doing this, in my opinion. Everything I gave you up to now was fact. Now, this is just my opinion right here. Now that you know this, everybody should do it, because if you don't do this, not only are you stealing from yourself, but you're stealing from your children, your grandchildren, and future generations to come, because you're letting money leave the family. We have to start keeping money in our family. We have to control that money. Look, there's us and the super wealthy, right? We all have access to the same financial tools, do we not? Yes. The only difference between us and the super wealthy is they use the tools differently than we do. Now that I know how to play the game, I'm just playing the game right along with them and building my wealth. I'm not changing my cash flow. I'm not working any harder. I'm not taking any additional risk or losing control. All I'm doing is playing the game the wealthy have been playing for over 200 years. Reminder, go look at the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, the Morgans, the Stanleys, the Barclays. Go look and research how they built, kept, and created wealth. That's all we're doing. I don't like complicated stuff. I like things to be simple. So there's a guy named Warren Buffett. Now, I don't know when Warren Buffett said this quote, but I heard it in October of 2008. And I think about this quote almost every day of my life. And this is how simple it is. And this is what Warren Buffett said. He said, if poor people would just do what rich people do, they wouldn't be poor anymore. Oh my gosh. How much sense does that make? That's all we're going to do is mimic and imitate what the wealthy are doing. We're not going to reinvent the wheel. We're just going to do what they've been doing. Every one of us on this webinar, whoever's listening to this right now, or maybe you're listening to a recording, in the next 5 minutes, 5 hours, 5 days, 5 weeks, 5 months, 5 years, 10, 20, 30, 50 years, only one of 2 things are possible. Only 1 or 2 things can happen. We're either going to live or we're going to die. Now, I like to use the word pass, or again, I like to use the word graduate. So I'll let you use whatever word you want. Pass, die, graduate. So are we better off with this concept I shared with you if we live? Hopefully you say yes, with. But what about when we die, pass, or graduate? See, it's not an if, it's a when. We all have an expiration date. We just don't know when it is. A lot of time it's our choice. A lot of time it's not our choice. Today, Hannah got a message early this morning that a client of ours committed suicide. So how do you know? I mean, how do you know what's going on? Now, again, that was his choice to take his life. And that happened a few months ago. We had somebody else that committed suicide. There was another guy last week, a Friday, March the 7th, or whatever that Friday was. A guy was walking out of the grocery store. He fell and he tripped and he fell into an oncoming car and it killed him. How do you know when it's going to happen or when it's going to happen? It's going to happen. We just don't know when, right? So hopefully it's just whenever your expiration date is up and nothing tragically happens, but you don't ever know. But that's the death benefit part of the portion, right? That's not even the cash value. So the death benefit is the bingo, the bonanza, the icing on the cake, the cherry on the icing. By the way, how much today did I even talk about life insurance? Hardly at all. How much did I even talk again today? So how much did I talk about death benefit? Hardly at all. I didn't even really talk about life insurance, did I? No, life insurance is the product, the vehicle, the machine, the concept, the process that we're going to use to build, keep, and create wealth. If you have a better solution, let me know what it is. Maybe I'll start teaching what you're telling me about. But I haven't been able to find one looking now for 17 years. Policies are exempt from lawsuits and judgments. How much did I talk about policies are exempt from liens, judgments, and lawsuits? That's right. So, and if your policy is not exempt, if you live in a state where it's not exempt, then you just file a collateral assignment to make it as exempt. Remember O.J. Simpson? He was found not guilty in the criminal trial, but he was found guilty in the civil trial, and he owed the Goldman family a bunch of money. Did the Goldman family ever get that money? No. Why not? Where was O.J.'s money? It was protected. For you old timers out there, what about Ken Lay with Enron? Or maybe some of the younger people know Ken Lay with Enron. He owed all those people money, but did they ever get it? No. Where was the money? Go check out tons of those examples. The internal growth of the policy grows tax-free. That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, what we want to do is we want to pay tax on our money one time only at the lowest rate possible. We want to get that money into a tax-free environment, and we want to get the government completely out of our head. Do we not? Absolutely. And that's what we're doing inside of the policy because it's growing tax-free. Oh, and guess what else? A loan never has to be paid back. Nope. You never have to pay back your policy loan. A loan on the policy is a prepayment of your death benefit. You see, the insurance company can never lose, and they don't care if you have policy loans out. As a matter of fact, the insurance company will never ask you why you're going to take a policy loan, how much of a policy loan you're going to take, and they never ask you if you're going to pay it back because they don't care, because they are guaranteed to get paid, because in every policy, there's a death benefit, and the death benefit is always, always, always higher than the cash value, than the loan availability. So if you've sucked out all the cash from your policy, then at the time of your death, the death benefit will pay off the loan balance because they've already given you that money while you're living, and the remainder of the money will go to your beneficiaries tax-free. So essentially what you're doing is you're using your money while you're living instead of waiting to use that windfall down the road after you pass. And it won't be you using the windfall after you pass, just in case I needed to tell you that and fill that in. So you're using your money now. Why are we doing all of this that I'm telling you? There's a lot of different reasons, but here's one.
I want to be so freaking bad, buy all of the things I never had.
If this is something that you want to do, oh, also, reminder, go to our website, themoneymultiplier.com, and you can download our ebook that way. You can also send me an email and I'll send it to you. I'll send you the ebook. It's Brent@themoneymultiplier.com. You can go to hannah@themoneymultiplier.com. However is easiest for you. We will send you the ebook that Chris and I wrote. The very last screen here, if you notice, it has my contact number for texting on that telephone number. That's 785-248-9637. It has my email address. It also has a schedule calendar for Hannah. So if you want to know more about this and how this will work for you, then you can go schedule a call and talk to Hannah. If you don't want to talk to Hannah, then Chris Naugle has a link, Stephen Nagy, Joseph Kovacevic, Gabby, Jason Sipple, Carson Herling. Talk to anybody on our team, all right? Anybody on our team, and just tell them, just say, hey, I watched the presentation. I watched the Wealth Wednesday webinar. Brent did the presentation. Just tell them, and they're going to know that you've watched this. But before you do the call, I want you to go back and watch the mapping section, the money multiplier mapping section of the presentation. So how do you view the full presentation of all the parts that I left out? Or maybe you have somebody that should be on the call that's not on the call and they should be on and listening. Send them to the website, themoneymultiplier.com. I guess is that / or / presentation. And then click on Watch Brent Now and watch the full presentation. Call, text, or email us, and we will schedule what we call a strategy call with you. That strategy call is just about you getting your questions answered. We schedule those calls for 45 minutes. Normally, you don't need 45 minutes, but if you need extra time, then you schedule a second call with you. This is about getting your questions answered and to see how this process and concept will work in your life. And if there's anybody that you know that should hear this, please give them our information. Send them to Chris Naugle. Send them to the Money Multiplier website. Wherever you want to send them, I'm telling you, this is life-changing. You need to start keeping control of your own money and keeping that money in your family where there's no money being leaked out anywhere else. And just as a reminder, go to our website, look at all the events that we have coming up. I'm speaking in Arizona tomorrow. No, today's Wednesday. I'm speaking Friday afternoon in Arizona. Then I'm speaking at our own event next Thursday in Dallas. We have 3 events, 1 p.m., 3:30 p.m., and 6 p.m. That's next Thursday, a week from tomorrow. And then I'm speaking to a group of about 600 chiropractors in Dallas at the Gaylord Resort in Dallas, Texas, next Friday and Saturday, a week from Friday and Saturday. And there's plenty other events. Actually, a week from today, Hannah will be in New Brunswick, New Jersey, speaking at a real estate convention. Chris Naugle is out in San Diego right now speaking, or at least he was yesterday. So we're out there, man. We're all over the place. If you want us to speak for you at an event that you have, or maybe you want to put a group of people together, let us know and we'll come out and do it for you. All right. I am done. I think I'm right on time with my 90 minutes. I know Hannah's been answering in the chat box. I'm happy to take any live questions if anybody's still on. Okay, so let me answer the first one. The first one is Drew. So if you're going to be using this process for your primary resident mortgage, I'd be curious if you do for paying off a mortgage versus doing something like private lending at 12%. My wife and I go back and forth, which should prior to be giving. If we took 160, it would pay off the house, do private lending deal. Would be curious on your thoughts. Let me just tell you what I do. I purposely have a mortgage on my house. I just did last year. I refinanced it. I got an interest rate of like 3.7%, 10-year interest only. I pulled out about $1.7 million out of my house, and I like to loan money and invest in real estate. So what I did with that money, let's just use 1 million, for example. I put that $1 million into an investment deal where I'm in first position, collateralized, and I have a personal guarantee, and the personal guarantee is golden. If you want to know who that is, just go ahead and private message me and I'll tell you who that is, and I'll turn you on just to the person, because I have $2.5 million with this person, and I'm getting an interest rate, let's just call it 15% is the lowest interest rate that I'm getting on any of my money. So if I got $1 million and I loaned it out at 15%, that means I get $150,000 a year that's coming in every single month. take that money and divide it by 12. What's 150,000 divided by 12? And that's my monthly interest income that comes in. So do I give a crap if I'm paying 3, 4, 5% on a home mortgage loan, on a HELOC? Okay, or as a property refi? Do I care if I'm paying 5% or even 6% interest to the insurance company for my policy? Because remember, when I take a loan from the policy, I don't take my money. I put my policy up for collateral, take a loan from the general fund. So all my money is still in the policy growing tax-free. But Drew, in order to do this, you have to be disciplined with money. If you are not a disciplined person, then this may not work. I'm just going to assume that you are disciplined, but I can't necessarily assume that because I
Right.
talk to clients every day. Okay, so Hannah's telling me she knows you and you are. So if you're disciplined, then yes, do it. But there are some people that aren't disciplined. I talk to people and they actually think just because they have checks left, there's still money in the bank. All right. That would be the definition of a non-disciplined person. Okay, Eve. Hi, Eve. I'm in California. What do I need to do to keep my policy shielded from judgments? It's forming a collateral assignment on that policy. Reach out to your implementation specialist, AKA mapping specialist, and they can assist you. If I only make premium installments, is it free like the yearly premium? Is it free like the yearly premium installments? If I make monthly premium installment, I don't understand what you mean. Is it free? You have, okay, Alan, I don't understand. So basically the thing is when you pay your premium, you can pay it monthly, quarterly, twice a year, annually. It's always better to pay annually if you can. Back when I started, I didn't because I couldn't afford to pay annually. But remember, anytime you pay annually, it's less expensive. You do have some policy servicing when you pay monthly. It's the same thing as your car insurance. If you pay your car insurance annually, you pay, say, $1,000. If you pay it monthly, it could add up to $1,000 and some change, $1,050 or whatnot, because you're making monthly installments. It's not a ton of money. Don't let the nickel hide the dime, and don't trip over dollars to pick up pennies. Just do whatever is comfortable for you. Out of all of my policies, I started most of my policies out in the beginning. I started them out by paying them monthly. Now I pay them annually. With the tiered commission system paid to the agent, who puts a policy in place for you and those up the chain? Do you consider your business MLM? No, absolutely not. It is not MLM. It is a great, great question, James, because we get it asked all the time. And I'm opening the Nelson book right now, and I know almost everything on all these pages, but in the first 5 pages, I don't know where it is. Nelson says this is not an MLM. This is not multi-level marketing of any kind. And I don't know what page it's on, but Hannah will find it for you and tell you, but it is in that book, Becoming Your Own Banking. So no MLM. So if I start a policy on James, here,
No,
Hannah
this
found
is-
it. Okay, it's like the first sentence. It is not a sales tool for insurance agent. It is education that life insurance industry should have taught during the last 200 years. I thought I heard MLM somewhere though. There's somewhere in here that says MLM or multi-level. But anyway, so James, if I start a policy on you and I'm like the only agent involved, then I'm going to get the commission on your policy. Okay, so back when I started policies on myself, I went to another agent. I didn't understand that. That agent got the commission on my policies. Now, any policy that I start on myself, because I'm a licensed agent, I get the commission on my own policy. So I hope that answered that question. So Jimmy, let's go to you. How does the stock market affect a whole life policy, money multiplier? Great, great question. I tell people all the time, it doesn't matter what is going on with the external world. It doesn't matter if the stock market is going up or down. It doesn't matter if there's a pandemic. It doesn't matter if there's protests or riots. It doesn't matter if there's a Republican president, a Democratic president. It doesn't matter what Bitcoin is doing, what cryptocurrency is doing, what gold and silver is doing. A whole life policy in a mutual company is not affected by those external values. This is a policy contract. As a matter of fact, a conventional bank can loan out $8, $10, or $12 for every dollar they have on hand, right? As a matter of fact, if everybody made a run to the bank today to get all their money, the money just would not be there. They physically don't have the money to give every depositor their money. So what would happen? You would get 7 or 8 cents of every single dollar. An insurance company cannot do that. They go by something called Austrian economics. $1 has to protect $1. You see, you are the owner of the contract. You're not the owner of the company. You own the contract. So you being the owner of the contract, that means when you show up and you knock on the insurance company's door and you want your cash value, it doesn't matter where the insurance company has that cash value at, you are first in line. They have to give you that money first. So you are number one in line. Makes me feel like we need an agent in our family. If this is a lifetime endeavor, couldn't hurt someone commissioned in family bank. Absolutely. And hey, what we do is we encourage you guys, if this is something that you want to teach, then you should definitely become a producer or an agent if you're going to teach this to other people. But what the insurance company will not allow you to do is to become an agent, write a policy on your own self, and then never put business in, because they will cut you. They will terminate your contract if you're not giving them sufficient amount of business. Now, there are producers on our team, and almost every producer, if not every producer on our team, has come on our team and they've been a producer in the Money Multiplier, but they were an agent first. They were a producer first. It goes for Chris Naugle. It goes for Devin Burr. It goes for Stephen Navy. A client first. They were a client first before they became an agent. So yeah, if that's something you're interested in doing and you want to teach this to other people and you want to refer other people, then 100% absolutely. But if it's just you getting one policy for you and maybe your spouse, then it's not going to be good for you to do it. The insurance company is not going to allow you to do it. And just keep in mind, we do not allow agents on our team unless they already have a policy and they're doing a policy. That would be like me, a guy that's like 30 pounds overweight, like training you how to use a treadmill. How would that work out? I don't even own a damn, well, actually I do own a treadmill, but it's not mine. It's okay. The reason I own a treadmill is so I could train my dog how to walk and just do the dog training. And I use the treadmill as the trainer told me. So that's why I have a treadmill. So you got to be doing it in order to be talking about it, and also to be a licensed agent, at least with us. When is the event in Arizona? That is Thursday. I don't know where it's at. However, I apologize. That is an event that I'm doing. It's a private event. So like possibly if I had one or two people that wanted to come and listen to me speak, I think I'm speaking 3:30 to 5. So just text me and I can get you in, but I can't get a whole bunch of people in because it's a private event for only a select people. It's not my personal event. I'm going and speaking on the concept to people. And I'm telling you that, so the thing I'm going to be talking about is my 90+ minute presentation. Is it wise to take a HELOC and put it into a policy? The book Chris and I wrote, Mapping Out the Millionaire Mystery, we talk about that. I believe it's on page 125. Page 125. We talk about a HELOC. So the answer is it depends how disciplined you are with money. We have examples that show you how to use a HELOC to fund a policy. I personally think it's a great idea if you're disciplined with your money. Let me also just remind you, we have lots of videos on our website, themoneymultiplier.com. Chris Naugle has 1,013 videos on different topics. Go follow Hannah at the Money Multiplier, or again, I'm sorry, her podcast. So Hannah does a Money Multiplier podcast. So wherever you get your podcasts from, go watch Hannah's podcast, 50+ podcast. If there's any specific examples that you want to see, like for example, comparing whole life to index universal life policy, email Hannah and she can send you those links, or email someone on Chris's team and they can send you the links as well. Can I take a loan from one policy to buy another? Absolutely, you can. Now, the insurance company does not really like you to do it because they're afraid that what you're going to do is continue to buy more policies by taking policy loans. But remember what I said earlier, the insurance company never asks you why you're taking a policy loan, and they never ask you if you're paying it back. So the insurance company does not even know why you're taking the policy loan. Again, so there's nothing wrong with it. There's no law or rule against borrowing from a policy to pay premium on another policy. It's just the insurance company does not want us to promote that behavior because they don't want you to have all these policies and then kind of get yourself into a bind, which totally, completely 100% makes sense. Are you able to borrow 100% of the cash value? It depends on the year of the policy. Go back and look at the money multiplier map. Look at the car example. Remember the first year he put in $1, he could borrow like 60 cents, but never, never, ever on the very first year can you borrow 100% of what you put into the policy. Now, I know your terminology was cash value, so I don't know if we're talking the same thing, but just plan on this. In the first year, put in $1, borrow 60 cents. In the second year, put in $1, borrow 65 cents. In the third year, put in $1, borrow 90 cents. And every year after that, put in $1 and borrow more than you put in. Okay, that's not exact science, but it's pretty close. It'll help more as you see your policy illustration. And remember, when you do this, the first thing you have to do is qualify. So even if you're ready to start right now, you're not allowed to start right now. We have to get you approved for the policy. We have to make sure you or whoever we're doing the policy on looks as good on the inside as you do on the outside. So you got to pee in the cup, give a little blood, answer some health questions. So it's a minimum of 4 to 6 weeks before you're even going to start. And when you do start, even when your policy is approved, make sure you look at the numbers. Look at the columns on the illustration, the guaranteed numbers and the non-guaranteed numbers, so you know exactly what's going to be going on into the policy. There's no hidden tricks whatsoever. It is right there in your policy contract. And if you don't like the way your policy contract looks, don't accept the policy. Are you doing any events near Daytona? Yeah, we're doing Orlando and Tampa sometime. But so like Daytona, that might be something you just hook up with Hannah and come over to our home office here in Port Orange. For the Daytona locals, we live in our office, and our house is in the fly-in community, Spruce Creek fly-in community. Is there a fee to attend one of your events? Nope, no fee to attend any of our events. Okay, in the light of the banking situation, where do insurance companies keep and reserve so they are safe? That's a great question. Robin, there's more to follow on this. This is only making our business busier. People are sick and tired of the bull crap, the 401ks, the IRAs, the qualified plans, the pensions and all of that, and conventional banks, and putting money in conventional banks and banks failing, right? Because who gets bailed out? Banks get bailed out, right? So the insurance company, the thing that they do with their money, all right? So just remember what I told you earlier. Conventional banks can loan $8, $10, or $12 for every dollar they have on hand. An insurance company can't do that. So whenever you pay premium into the policy, the insurance company will put about 80% of the money into investment grade bonds, good, safe bonds. Another 7% goes into home and commercial mortgages. A lot of these big housing developments or commercial properties that you see are financed with money from blocks of money from insurance companies. About another 7% goes to policy loans to their policy holders, and the other 7% they have to have in a very low interest bearing account, almost equivalent to cash. The money that you put into the policy, it has that guaranteed growth and that guaranteed protection against all the things that we've talked about. They go by that topic we called Austrian economics. I just asked 3 of the head honchos at the insurance companies that we write business with. I asked them to put out a statement on this about how good it is to have your money in a policy, not in a conventional bank, how sturdy, how steady, and all of that, how stable. I got responses from 2. I got responses from the president and CEO of Lafayette Life Company, John Budema, and also the president of One America. His name is Dennis Martin. I'm still waiting on the 3rd. If you want to just to know what they said, all you do is send me an email and I'll send you that statement. I believe we're trying to put that up on our website. My team has asked me to put that up on our website, and I said, yes, let's put that up on our website. But before we do it, we need to check with the insurance companies to make sure it's compliant to put it up on our website. Okay, so that's all we're waiting for. But no, great questions. No better time, and we are busier than ever. I mean, again, guys, just like Chris Naugle's been telling you for a while, you may be in for some trouble. There may be some rough times coming ahead with kind of the financial industry. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Hannah, but Chris was telling you about crypto long before crypto and stuff, right? So I just talked to a guy yesterday that says, yeah, Brent, I'm hoping it comes back, but I lost $600,000 in crypto. This was a guy in Hawaii. You know, remember, pigs get fat and hogs get slaughtered. Don't be a hog, man. If you make some gains, get it out and go in to whatever it is you're going to go to. Me personally, I don't put a dime in the stock market. I don't have any 401ks, IRAs. I don't do any crypto. I don't do any Bitcoin. I put money in whole life policies, and then I'll either put money into real estate, which I don't even like doing that as much anymore. I would rather do lending. I would rather loan money and be in first position on the real estate and have it guaranteed by that real estate as collateral. And better yet, if I can get I can get a personal guarantee, I get that. So any investors out there, if you're looking at investing, contact me and I'll connect you, or go to Chris Naugle, the Private Money Club. Go to the Private Money Club. Are you guys all members? Are you doing the Private Money Club? Good stuff there as well too. Okay. What disqualifies a person from getting a whole life policy? Health mainly. Let's say you got 3 DWIs in the last year. You're not going to get a policy. Let's say if you have a high risk job, right? Like I had a stuntman, a cameraman that lived in Hollywood, California. Have you ever seen when people jump out of airplanes and do stunts, right? Well, those are the stunt men. They don't get policies because their job is too dangerous. But how about the cameraman that films those stunts? Well, they have just as a dangerous job, but they have to hold the camera and do the stunt. So really, I think their job is more dangerous than the stunt man, but the stunt man gets all the credit. Well, I had a client that was a camera stunt man, lived in Hollywood, California, couldn't get a policy because of his job, but mostly it's health. But ask us, and so we will see if it's possible. And even if you can't get approved, we may be able to approve somebody else in your family. So do we schedule an appointment for every policy we start? Well, yeah, whoever you started your first policy with, go back to that person. Or if you're not sure, ask us and we'll go back and look it up. But yes, we have to start a second policy. So we have to do a new policy contract. It's just like if you decide to open up a bank account at Wells Fargo and US Bank, just because you have a Wells Fargo bank account doesn't mean you automatically have a US bank account. So, but it's a very simple, easy process, and we can help you through that. My income, if my income for over a year will be in 40 days after a house flip closes, could one create a policy 30 days later, borrow against it, and pay debts? Yeah. I mean, I think the question is when you put money in the policy, can you borrow the cash value? Yes. I always tell you 30 days, you can borrow the cash value. Now, does it ever take 30 days to get a loan? No. I've never waited more than 12 business days ever to get a loan, and most of them are processed in 3 or 4. But I tell you 30 because if it doesn't show up in 12, I don't want you to be mad. Does my initial dump in count as my first year premium? So get back with your agent on that, Rod, but it's part of your premium, right? So for example, let's say if you did $10,000 of premium and then you dumped in an extra $25,000 for a total of $35,000, it's all premium. So yes, and so the dump ins generally can only go in the first year. We may have a couple exceptions, but most of the time the dump in can only go in the first year. But again, so Hannah, all those people can answer that. Brian Shea is in the house. Listen, look at that. When are you doing the Ironman with me? Well, Brian, I'll do it at the same time that you grow hair like the ex-Pittsburgh Steelers. What was he? So the cornerback, Troy Polamalu. So whenever you grow hair like his, I'll do the Ironman with you. Brian, I think you should send everybody now a picture so they can see your head. And that's when I'll do the Ironman with you. All right. Where are the fees showing up in the policy? So we talked about that earlier, right? The fees, there's no extra fees or charges that you pay us. All of the fees are incorporated inside of the policy. So the numbers that you see are all built into the policy. But if you want to break it down in your policy contract, it's all in there stated on the policy. I think it's on page 77-C. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know where it's at. All right. But again, everything you see on the illustration is the money that you have available to use. This is totally different than an IUL. It's totally different than an investment index type deal where there's fees. This is not like that. This is a whole life policy in a mutual company that pays dividends. Also, since I was talking to Brian Shea, let me give a shout out to Brian. If you guys are interested at all in anything that has anything to do with asset care or long-term care, Brian Shea is the guy that you should reach out to on our team. If you want that information, just send us a message. And Chris, myself, Hannah, somebody will get you Brian Shea's info on asset care and long-term care. Totally different than banking, right? But policy used for something totally different. Let's see. Is it wise to take out my 401k and pay the taxes and do a dumping on the policy? Well, again, that depends. But let me just tell you my answer to this. Any client that I'm working with, after I'm working with them for, say, I'm just going to say a year, but it's not even a year. It's like 6 months. Okay. If you still think it's a good idea to keep money in your 401k, your IRA, your qualified plan, then you should call me up and fire me. You should terminate me because I really, really did a poor job. Okay, you're not going to want to keep money in those plans. Now, a self-directed IRA is a little bit different of an animal. If you want to know about self-directed IRAs, connect with Chris Naugle and let him talk to you about self-directed IRAs, okay? I'm talking about a traditional, a Roth, a 401k, things like that, okay? A self-directed is a little bit different of an animal. I'm in the lending training now. Noah Harris, session number 3 today. Okay, that's good. I didn't see the question there, but awesome. Would it be wise to take out a 401k? Oh, I answered that one. Mental health, ADHD. It just depends as far as getting approved for the policy. ADHD, look, hey, guys, I have ADHD, right? I mean, everybody, I think almost everybody has ADHD. My neighbors on both sides of me, you know, that are multimillionaires have ADHD, right? So I don't see that as being a problem. When you use the word mental health, I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of things that define mental health. All we can do is try to qualify you with the insurance company. But before we take you down the rabbit hole to actually put your stuff in, we'll ask them okay, the thing we'll do is tell the insurance company, we'll say, hey, this is what's going on with this client. Here's the medication that they're on. Here's their diagnosis. Is this a person that you would even consider? And if the answer is yes, we move forward. If it's not, we move on to another body. One of the reasons I started 3 policies with Devin, great job, was because of the ancillary avenues, use my cash values and the ecosystem. They have relationships with everyone you travel in your financial journey. Awesome. Yeah, actually, there's some people that want policies for separate things. Like some people want a policy only for their taxes to pay every year. Some people want a policy only for their charitable giving. Some people only want a policy for college education. So me personally, I mix and match all my policies. I don't have any for one specific thing. Can you help with key man policies? Absolutely, we can. So we need to open up a whole life policy with you guys. Well, yeah, absolutely. We hope you're the guy you want to work with. I mean, yeah, absolutely. Pick me, please. Yes. Okay. I think I'm about out of time. I know I didn't get.
All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed that episode. We're putting up tons of them, but I think if you like this one, you'll probably like that video as well. Not only that, I've got a book that I created, Mapping Out the Millionaire Mystery, where we actually show you what the wealthy do in the game they play with money. I want you to have that for free. And if you want to know about all my new videos coming up, click that alert button. Actually, smash that alert button, and you'll be notified every time we put a new video. So we'll see you on the next episode.